Loren Brovarnik's second marriage revealed. Alexei very upset. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I hope you are well. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The Florida sun shimmered brightly on the streets of Hollywood, but inside Alexei Brovarnik's heart, there was nothing but storm clouds. He sat silently at the kitchen table of their apartment, staring at his untouched cup of coffee. The walls around him were decorated with family photos, memories of laughter, milestones, and the beautiful family he and Loren had built together. But now, those photos felt like distant echoes of a past that was slipping away. Loren Brovarnik, beloved star of 90 Day Fiancé, adored by fans for her openness and honesty, had always shared her life with the public. Her love story with Alexei, a handsome Israeli paramedic, had been one of the franchise's biggest success stories. Together, they had navigated cultural differences, long-distance struggles, and the roller coaster of new parenthood. Fans thought they were unshakable, untouchable. But now, shocking whispers were beginning to swirl. Rumors had broken online that Loren had secretly remarried, not to Alexei, to someone else. It all started when a tabloid site released grainy photographs of Loren walking hand in hand with a man who is definitely not Alexei. The pictures were taken on a quiet Miami beach at sunset. The man was tall, broad-shouldered, and wore a crisp white shirt open at the collar. His hand lingered around Loren's waist in a way that was undeniably intimate. At first, fans assumed it was a misunderstanding, perhaps a cousin, a business partner, or just a friend. But within hours, the story escalated. A marriage license. The shocking detail was unearthed by internet sleuths, public records showing Loren's name alongside this mysterious man. The internet exploded. No way. Loren and Alexei are the strongest couple in the whole franchise, one fan wrote on Instagram. I don't believe this, she wouldn't do that to Alexei, not after everything, another tweeted. But the documents were real. And soon after, a paparazzi photo emerged of Loren wearing a gold wedding band on her finger, one that Alexei had never given her. When Alexei first saw the headlines, he laughed bitterly, shaking his head. This is garbage, he muttered under his breath, scrolling through his phone. It's clickbait. They always make up lies. But then he saw the photo. Loren. His Loren. Walking with another man, her smile wide, her eyes sparkling the way they used to when she looked at him. The laughter stopped. His chest tightened, and his hands trembled so much he nearly dropped the phone. No, this can't be real. But it was. When Loren walked through the door later that evening, Alexei's world felt like it was cracking open. She wore a casual dress, her hair tied back, and carried groceries in her arms like any other day. But to Alexei, she looked different, almost like a stranger. He stood there, his jaw clenched, holding up his phone with the damning photo. Explain this, he demanded. Loren froze. Her eyes flicked to the screen, then back to his face. For a moment, her lips parted, as if she was about to deny everything. But instead, she sighed and set the groceries down. Alexei, I was going to tell you. His heart sank. Going to tell me? That meant it was true. Tell me what, Loren? That you're what? Seeing someone else? That this marriage license people are sending me is real? Her silence was louder than any answer. Tears burned in his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. They sat across from each other, the weight of years pressing down on them. Alexei, Loren began softly, her voice trembling, I never wanted it to come out this way. You know how much I love you, and you know everything we've been through together. But things changed. I changed. Alexei shook his head violently. No, you don't get to say that. We had a family. We had vows, Loren. We had everything people dream of. And you just what? You threw it away for him? She winced at his words but didn't deny them. I didn't plan this. I didn't look for it. But when I met him, it felt like I was alive again. Like I wasn't just Loren from 90 Day Fiancé, or the mom influencer, or your wife. I felt like me again. Alexei slammed his fist against the table, startling her. So what was I, Loren? A placeholder? A stepping stone? No, she cried, tears streaming down her face. You were everything to me. You are everything to me. But I needed more. I needed someone who could. Her voice trailed off. She couldn't finish. The news spread like wildfire. Entertainment sites, gossip blogs, and even mainstream outlets were covering Loren's shocking second marriage. 90-Day Fiancé star Loren Brovarnik's secret wedding revealed, screamed one headline. Alexei blindsided as wife ties knot with mystery man, another read. Fans were devastated. Many felt betrayed, not just for Alexei, but for themselves. After all, they had invested years in Loren and Alexei's love story, rooting for them through every struggle. On social media, hashtags like #JusticeForAlexei and #TeamAlexei began trending. But Loren's supporters fought back. She deserves happiness. If she wasn't happy, she had every right to move on, one fan argued. She gave so much of herself to her marriage. Maybe Alexei wasn't enough for her anymore, another posted. The fandom was split right down the middle. Away from the cameras, Alexei's pain deepened. He spent nights pacing the living room, staring at their children's toys scattered across the floor, wondering how he would ever explain this to them. How do you tell your kids that the woman who promised forever found forever with someone else? His mind replayed every memory. Their wedding in Israel, the tears they shared when their first child was born, the countless moments when they swore nothing could ever come between them. And now this. Betrayal. He couldn't escape the images of Loren with another man. He couldn't stop hearing her words. I felt alive again. As if he hadn't been enough. As if their life together had been nothing but a cage. Meanwhile, Loren kept silent publicly. She refused to address the rumors directly on Instagram, where fans bombarded her comment section with questions. Instead, she posted cryptic quotes about growth, new chapters, and self-love. But silence only fueled the fire. Was she hiding? Was she ashamed? Or was she simply moving on without a care in the world? No one knew. But one thing was clear, Loren Brovarnik's second marriage was no longer just gossip. It was reality. And Alexei was left to pick up the shattered pieces of the life he thought they shared. The world had only just begun to unravel the truth. Who was the mysterious man? How long had Loren been hiding this? And would Alexei fight for his family, or finally let go of the woman he had once called his soulmate? The answers were coming. But for now, the pain was raw, the betrayal fresh, and the future uncertain. The night after the world learned of Loren's secret second marriage, Alexei barely slept. He sat in the living room with the lights off, phone buzzing every few seconds with messages from friends, family, and even strangers. Some offered sympathy, others demanded answers, but all of them cut into him like shards of glass. At 3 a.m., the house was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Alexei scrolled through another article, this one with a headline that nearly made his chest cave in. Loren Brovarnik's new husband identified. Meet the man who stole her heart. His hand shook as he clicked the link. A wealthy entrepreneur from Miami, Daniel had made his fortune in real estate development. He was the kind of man magazines described as charismatic, charming, successful. He drove luxury cars, wore tailored suits, and was often seen in the company of influencers and models. Worse yet, the article suggested that Loren and Daniel had been spotted together months before the marriage became public. Photos showed them laughing at a rooftop restaurant, walking through an art gallery, sharing a drink at a lounge. Each image was a dagger to Alexei's heart. Alexei slammed his phone onto the coffee table, the screen cracking as it hit. Charismatic? Successful, he muttered through clenched teeth. That's all it takes? That's what she left us for. He thought about all the nights he had worked long shifts, saving every dollar to give their family security. He thought about the diapers, the midnight feedings, the sacrifices. And now some rich man swoops in and takes everything? His blood boiled. For the first time since the scandal broke, his grief transformed into something else. Anger. The next morning, Alexei drove to Loren's parents' house. He needed answers, and he wasn't going to sit in silence anymore. Her parents, Marlene and Brian, had always loved Alexei. They had watched him grow from the nervous fiancé with a thick accent to the dedicated husband and father who carried the weight of his family on his shoulders. When Marlene opened the door, her face was pale. She looked like she hadn't slept either. "Alexei," she whispered, almost ashamed. "Where is she?" he demanded, his voice raw. She's not here," Marlene said carefully. "She's staying with Daniel in Miami." The name sent a shiver of rage down Alexei's spine.
Miami.
"Of course," he muttered. "Tell me, Marlene, how long have you known?" She flinched. "We didn't know. Not until recently. We thought it was just business. Friendship. Loren told us it was harmless." "Harmless?" Alexei snapped. "She married him." Brian appeared behind his wife, his expression stern but heavy with guilt. "Alexei, son," he said softly, "you deserve the truth. Loren's been unhappy for a while. She felt like she lost herself after the kids. She said you didn't understand." Alexei's eyes burned. "I didn't understand? I gave her everything. I gave up my country, my friends, my life for her. And now she does this." Marlene began to cry, and Brian put an arm around her. "Please, Alexei," Brian said. "Don't lose yourself to anger. The kids need you. More than ever." That night, Loren finally broke her silence with an Instagram Live. She appeared on the screen with swollen eyes, makeup barely covering the exhaustion etched into her face. Daniel wasn't in the frame, but his presence lingered in the air like an invisible shadow. "I know everyone's confused. I know people are angry," Loren began, her voice shaking. "This isn't something I planned. It's not something I wanted to come out this way. But yes, that's true. I'm remarried." The comment section exploded instantly, scrolling so fast she could barely keep up. "How could you do this to Alexei? You betrayed your vows. Team Alexei forever." She bit her lip, fighting tears. "Alexei is an incredible man. He's the father of my children. He gave me the best years of my life. But somewhere along the way, I lost myself. I wasn't happy, and I couldn't pretend anymore. Meeting Daniel showed me that I could be happy again, that I could feel alive." Her voice cracked. "I never meant to hurt Alexei. I never meant to hurt any of you. But I have to follow my heart." She ended the live abruptly, leaving millions of fans stunned, outraged, and heartbroken. Alexei sat on the couch, watching Loren's words on the cracked screen of his phone. His stomach twisted with every sentence. "I wasn't happy. I lost myself. I had to follow my heart." Each phrase replayed in his mind like a cruel echo. Was he really that blind? Had he missed the signs? Or was this just Loren rewriting their history to justify her choices? He felt sick. The 90-Day Fiancé fanbase became a battlefield. On Reddit, threads raged with debates. Loren abandoned her family for money. Period. No, Alexei was controlling. She just wanted freedom. This is the saddest downfall of a couple in franchise history. Instagram was even worse. Loren's posts were flooded with comments calling her a homewrecker and ungrateful. Meanwhile, Daniel's business page became the target of relentless trolling, with people leaving one-star reviews and angry emojis. But through it all, Alexei stayed silent publicly. Privately, though, he was unraveling. The hardest part wasn't Loren. It wasn't Daniel. It wasn't even the betrayal. It was the kids. Every morning, Alexei woke up to their tiny voices calling for Abba. They didn't understand why Mommy wasn't there. They didn't understand why Daddy's eyes were always red. One evening, his oldest child tugged at his shirt and asked, "Daddy, is Mommy coming home?" The question broke him. He knelt down, pulling his child into his arms, his tears finally spilling over. "I don't know, baby," he whispered. "I just don't know." As if things couldn't get worse, Daniel finally spoke to the press. In a glossy interview with a lifestyle magazine, he smiled confidently, his arm around Loren. "I know people are upset," Daniel said. "But love doesn't always follow the rules. Loren and I didn't choose this. It chose us. We're building a future together, and we hope people will eventually respect that." Respect? Alexei nearly threw up when he read it. This man stole his wife, and now he was asking for respect. Days turned into weeks, and Alexei felt himself slipping further into despair. He avoided calls from producers who wanted his reaction for 90-Day Fiancé, happily ever after. He ignored texts from friends urging him to fight back. He felt numb. Until one night, after putting the kids to bed, he looked in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back at him. His eyes were hollow, his face gaunt, his soul shattered. And in that moment, something inside him shifted. He whispered to his reflection, "She may have given up on us, but I won't. Not yet." Months had passed since Loren's shocking remarriage to Daniel Cohen became public. The media frenzy hadn't slowed. If anything, it had intensified. Every move she made was analyzed. Every word Alexei spoke, or didn't speak, was twisted into a headline. But behind the cameras, the real battle was being fought in silence. Custody. Alexei had filed for primary custody of their children, arguing that Loren's decisions and unstable lifestyle were not in their best interest. Loren fought back, insisting she was still the mother who loved her kids deeply, no matter what mistakes she had made. And Daniel? He lurked in the background, always smiling, always confident, always playing the role of the supportive husband. But to Alexei, he was the enemy, the man who had shattered everything. The family court was nothing like the glamorous sets of 90-Day Fiancé. The walls were beige, the benches uncomfortable, and the atmosphere thick with tension. Alexei sat on one side, his suit neat, but his hands clenched. Across the room, Loren sat beside Daniel, her head held high, but her eyes betraying nerves. The judge listened patiently as lawyers argued back and forth. Alexei's lawyer painted him as the devoted father who had sacrificed everything for his family. Loren's lawyer countered, portraying Loren as a woman rediscovering herself, capable of being both a loving mother and a woman in love. When Alexei took the stand, his voice trembled but never broke. "I love my children more than anything in this world," he said, his accent thicker with emotion. "I came to this country for love. I built a life here for them. I don't care about money, or fame, or headlines. I just want my kids to grow up in a stable home." Loren listened, her lip quivering. When it was her turn, she admitted her mistakes. "I didn't handle things right. I hurt Alexei. I hurt my family. But I'm still their mother. I've been there for every milestone, every birthday, every bedtime story. My children need both their parents. And no matter what happened between us, I will never stop being their mom." The courtroom was silent. Even Daniel shifted uncomfortably, as if realizing that in this war, he was little more than a shadow. Outside the courthouse, fans lined the streets with signs. Some read "Team Alexei Forever," while others held posters saying, "Loren deserves happiness too." The fandom was torn, but one thing was clear: this wasn't just tabloid drama anymore. This was real life. This was family. Just when it seemed the case was reaching its peak, a bombshell dropped. Emails surfaced, leaked by an anonymous source, suggesting that Daniel had been involved with another woman during the same period he was courting Loren. The story broke on every major entertainment site within hours. Headlines screamed. The evidence was damning: hotel receipts, late-night text messages, even blurry selfies with a woman who was definitely not Loren. Loren's world crumbled overnight. The man she had risked everything for, her marriage, her reputation, her family, wasn't even loyal to her. When Alexei saw the news, he didn't gloat. He didn't smirk or say, "I told you so." Instead, he sat quietly, staring at a photo of his children. Because deep down, he had always known Daniel wasn't the man Loren thought he was. Later that night, Loren called him for the first time in weeks. Her voice was broken. "Alexei, I don't know what to do." For a long time, he said nothing. Then, finally, "You chose him, Loren. Now you live with that choice." But even as he said it, his heart ached. The weeks that followed were brutal for Loren. Paparazzi hounded her every move. Daniel denied the allegations at first, but soon the evidence was too overwhelming. He retreated, leaving Loren to face the humiliation alone. She stopped posting on social media. She stopped appearing in public. And in the privacy of her room, she cried until she couldn't cry anymore. Had she really thrown away the best things she ever had for nothing? One rainy evening, Loren showed up at Alexei's door. She looked nothing like the glamorous influencer fans knew. Her hair was unkempt, her makeup gone, her eyes swollen. "Can we talk?" she whispered. Alexei hesitated. Every instinct told him to slam the door, to protect himself. But another part of him, the part that remembered the woman he had fallen in love with, stepped aside. They sat at the kitchen table, the same place where their marriage had crumbled months earlier. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," Loren admitted, her voice barely audible. "I thought I was finding myself, but all I did was lose everything that mattered. I lost you. I lost us." Alexei looked at her for a long time. His eyes were cold, but beneath the ice was a flicker of something else. "Do you know what you did to me? To our children?" he asked. "Yes," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "And I'll regret it forever." In the days that followed, Alexei wrestled with his heart. Could he ever forgive Loren? Could he trust her again? Could they rebuild the life that Daniel had shattered? The world speculated endlessly. Fans debated whether forgiveness was possible, whether Alexei should move on, whether Loren deserved redemption. Finally, in a quiet moment at the park while watching their children play, Alexei gave his answer. "We can't go back," he said softly. "But maybe we can move forward. Slowly. For them." Loren's eyes widened with hope. "You mean?" "I mean I'll never stop loving you," Alexei admitted. "But love isn't enough. You have to prove to me, to us, that this time, you're here to stay." Months later, the cameras of 90 Day Fiancé returned to capture the next chapter. Loren and Alexei weren't magically healed. They weren't the picture-perfect couple they once were. But they were trying. Counseling sessions, co-parenting agreements, quiet dinners together. The road was long, the wounds deep. But slowly, piece by piece, they began rebuilding something new. As for Daniel, his empire crumbled under scandal, and he disappeared from the public eye. The Brovarniks, however, endured. Not as the flawless fairy tale couple fans once idolized, but as something far more real. Two broken people choosing, against all odds, to fight for their family. And in the end, that was a story even more powerful than the one that started it all. Love doesn't always look like perfection. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness, resilience, and the courage to start over, even after the deepest betrayal.